Quisi and Mr. Ito. Today I will be starting with presenting my math PoL. And this is my homework completion chart. I did all my homework and I did understand it, so that was pretty good. For my assessment chart, I did better on my quizzes than my tests, and I will explain a little bit why on the next slides. To improve my grade, what I did is I asked help when I needed it, and I did the study guide before tests. I also asked my peers, and that really helped because they knew what they were doing, so they would help me improve. The essential skill I'm going to be talking about is number 2, and the learning target is 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. For quiz problem and test problem, I have my quiz problem, I did it good and I got the problem correct. And for my test, I got it wrong, partially wrong. And the reason is because what I would do is I would have a triangle, and I would have only one angle that I knew how much the measurement was. So what I would do is I would subtract 180 from that number, and then I would divide by 2, and then that would be my 2 missing angles, and they weren't congruent, so that's what I was doing wrong. So I did my corrections again, I corrected it, and I actually found out that. And I also asked you, like, why was I getting it wrong, and you were asking me why was I doing that, and I saw my mistakes. For my other quiz problem, number 2, I also got it correct, but also with my test, I got that one wrong, partially wrong. And the reason is because I got kind of confused. As you can see, the 2 triangles share a line. So instead of I did the first triangle, and I found out what that line was. But when I did the second small triangle, I didn't put the measurement of that one. So I got that wrong. And then here is when I corrected it. And I also asked you for help, like why was the line that measurement the same as the other one, and it was because they were both sharing that line, so it's the same. And I think I deserve a B or an A in my grade because I worked hard and I asked help to clear a misunderstanding, and my current grade is a B+. Thank you. We'll now move on to chemistry. I will be presenting Unit 2B, the periodic table and trends. And for this slide is about atomic number and atomic mass. The atomic number helps you determine the number of protons, and the atomic mass tells you how much the whole atom weighs, which is basically the neutrons and protons. The electrons don't count as much because they're really light. So an example of how this is important is from a homework question. It says draw the Bohr model of a neutral sodium. How many valence electrons, protons, electrons, and neutrons does it have? Knowing the atomic number helps you determine the amount of protons you're going to have. And if it's going to be a neutral atom, then you know that the electrons are the same as the protons. And to figure out how many neutrons, then you have to subtract the atomic mass from the atomic number. So that's how it helps you determine the number of neutrons you have. Next, I will be talking about metals, semi-metals, and non-metals. The metals are shiny, they can conduct electricity, they have a high melting point, and they're also positive. And they're also all like mostly in the right. For your point of view, it's on the right. So the semi-metals have properties that are in between metals and non-metals, and they're like a little bit of them, and they're mostly right here. The nonmetals don't conduct electricity, so that means they're insulators, and they're brittle and they're negative. They're mostly in the right side. Left. Okay, so right here it helps you determine, like it's easy for you to know where they're at because they're mostly in sections. And next I will be talking about the periodic group. There's the alkali metals, which is the first, and then the alkaline, which is the second group. And then there's also halogens, which is right here, group 17. There's the noble gases, which is the group 18. And then there's the transition metals, which are all the purple ones, and they're in the middle. The periodic trends, like if you're going from left to right, then the atomic radius increases. So that means the electronegativity and the ionization both are going down because the atom is really big. So the electrons aren't as close to the nucleus, so there's less electronegativity and ionization. And since they have direct relationship, so it's the same for electronegativity and ionization. When you're going down, the atomic radius is the smallest at the top, but at the down it increases. So that means that the electronegativity and the ionization are really high when it's beginning, but as you go down it decreases. And now the valence electrons are really important because they tell you about the chemical bonds and the chemical reactions. If there's a group and they have 7 electrons on the outer shell, then that means that when they're doing chemical reactions that they're going to react similarly because they have the same valence electrons. Thank you.